Tuesday afternoon in Gibraltar, and I'm at the top of the rock. After an adventure in my last video where I ended up with the local residents, we are supposed to be flying home from my trip to Ceuta, Africa. However, things do not go to plan. I end up stuck in Gibraltar with an unplanned adventure that results in a hefty amount of compensation from British Airways. Stay with me to find out what happened and how you could be well compensated if the same should happen to yourself. We will be taking in some breathtaking views along the way, including from this hotel, where I will give a full review of the rooms and breakfast. And please remember to click and not hit the subscribe button. We don't hit them up here. A beautiful flight home,
Does include the toilets which are fitted with smoke detectors.
and there may even be a surprise cameo appearance from myself at the end. And we finish up with a little for aviation geeks too. And with that, welcome to Carl's Travel Channel, where every journey costs less than £200. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And always remember, the nearest exit may be behind you. Once down from the cable car and across the car park, I then catch the 5/10 bus to the airport with a bus fare of only about £2. But please make sure you bring change, as they do not accept cards. And with a cafe opposite reminding me of Soho, so here we go. However, whilst on board, got bad news. My flight was showing with a 2-hour delay, so I decided, rather than sit around, to get off the bus. I make it back to Ocean Village and then get marooned here in this large downpour of rain. Eventually a clearing in the weather appears and I leg it into Bruno's bar and restaurant, and I enjoy a £2.95 pint of Heineken. My friend then messaged me and told me that I should go to the airport fast in case they close security, which I had not thought of, due to this being the last flight of the day. I then called Gibraltar Airport Terminal and asked them if it was okay arriving late, and they said yes. However, on arrival, I was told a different story. Anyhow, I made it just in the nick of time before they did close the security. However, if this happens to yourself, make sure you go to the airport in time for your original scheduled departure. They do not make this clear. And wow, Gibraltar Airport never fails to impress when you can stand in the middle of the runway like this. I arrive at the airport terminal with the beautiful Rock of Gibraltar lit up in the evening sunset behind. What a perfect way to finish the trip. Or would it be? Once checked in and through security, I'm quickly given this refreshment voucher. Never a good sign. However, I get a free snack, I suppose. Things literally then go down. They told us to make a quick last-minute hotel booking and claim it back through compensation. I had already planned to stay here at the Ohtels Campo de Gibraltar the night before. Luckily it was still available to book this late in the day. I make it into my room, where there is even some water and tea and coffee making facilities. However, compared to last night's hotel of the same star rating, the beds were quite hard and uncomfortable. There was also a slightly musky smell. The balcony, however, was a big improvement. We'll go out here in a moment. The bathroom was very clean and very modern and well appointed. A look at the toilet here, and the shower, which had a good powerful shower head. The sink and wash basin. Given I only booked the hotel 1 hour in advance, it was amazing value at £53 per night, with £5 extra for a buffet breakfast. Not that I would be paying any of this, of course. Aha. We go down through the stairwell and have a look here at the lobbies. There is a cafeteria on the middle floor, which, as I would find out tomorrow, is not where you get the breakfast. For now, however, after the fiasco at the airport, I'm tired and getting late, so I'm venturing out to the nearby area to see if I can find a beer. And here I find one at the Aqua Bar, just up the road. And what a great bargain, £3.77 in UK money for a pint of Heineken and a free tub of olives. However, they did have stones inside. Oh well, you can't have it all. Back at the hotel, the promised view from the balcony. It's a shame really, I'm on this lower floor. You'll see why in a moment. But anyhow, good night. And with that, good morning at the southern tip of Spain. There's a beautiful Mediterranean morning sky above. But wow, oh, what is this? Now let's go and search for my €5 buffet breakfast. no sign of it here in the cafeteria. So, where is it? No sign of any people either. Let's continue to explore and look around the hotel. I head down to the ground floor, where I find a sun terrace by the poolside, which is closed of course. But hey, it is November. Anyhow, I then spy the mysterious hidden breakfast venue. So, let's go inside and see what the €5 buffet breakfast entails. There is free unlimited and very good tea and coffee. And also, very unusually, for mainland Europe, you could get a hot breakfast. It was very good and absolute fantastic value for money, and by far the best thing I thought about the hotel, which overall, to be honest, was not really bad at all. Anyhow, it's time to check out here at the lobby, and one last view of the hotel outside in the daylight. For less than £60 in this location, I thought it was well worth the money. I then spy a beautiful early morning view of the Rock of Gibraltar. Before rushing off there, however, I wanted to have a little stroll to see how it is here in Línea de Concepción along the marina front, starting here with a free outside gym. The weather today was really perfect, despite the wind, as you can hear. The view from here, it really reminds me of an exotic Mediterranean resort. Certainly a lot of small yachts moored up here on the Spanish side of the border. Not much sign of any activity though. I then head back to the border and passport control, passing this strange AstroTurf lawn on the way. And within literally 2 or 3 minutes, it was done, and welcome to Gibraltar. Greeted of course by such things as a classic red telephone box and Winston Churchill Avenue. Rather than walking across the airport runway as yesterday, I decided to be lazy this time and catch the red, London-looking style bus. Here it is inside, so you can see around, very similar to those back home. However, one thing to point out, make sure you bring change or cash, as they do not accept cards. Arriving into the city, Gibraltar is full of British shops, with popular UK department stores lining its main street. Walking along here really feels like walking down any British high street. Next, I found a Marks and Spencer's, offering everything from clothing to food. And next again, I found a Next. What are the chances of that? And yes, it was yet another Holland & Barrett, ideal for your natural remedies. On my slow walk back to the airport, I pass the Landport Tunnel, once the entrance to a strategic fortress that defended Gibraltar for centuries. And what on earth was the noise of that bird? Ah yes, I think this seems to be the culprit. However, there was no information around here or online about what these two birds, which I think are cockerels, were doing here. Several people had, however, stopped for pictures with them and to feed. If you know anything about these birds, please let me know in the comments. Finally, I return to the marina, and here I find dolphin adventure cruise boats. I wonder what type of animals they look for. Behind is the Sunborn, a moored up yacht. It looks like it has turned into a hotel. Let's have a little explore of this arcade behind Ocean Village. As I wander back through, I approach the offices of the Dolphin Safari. This is where you could book to go on one of the boats that we saw outside a moment ago. This time, when I arrive at the airport to cross the runway, the barriers are closed for a departure. This will be fun, as I get to see a plane also take off or land. Let's see which it is. Wow, the EasyJet flight off to London. Before leaving the airport, you must see the Cradle of History monument, which is a striking tribute to the ancient inhabitants of Gibraltar, where some of the oldest Neanderthal remains were discovered. Gibraltar is, I believe, the only international airport in Europe, certainly that accommodates jet airliners, where you can walk across the runway every day. I make it to the airport terminal and I look round the duty-free shop. Some big bottles here. I finally see the long-awaited aircraft, TTND, off to London's Heathrow Airport. There is also someone's business jet here. If you know whose it is, please let me know in the comments below. And some Gibraltar advertising in the terminal. I think for me, this video is enough advertising for them. It's a great place to go. There was one more private jet over to the left here. I think it's a Citation. After a delay of around 17 hours, it was finally time to board. The plane and its crew landed here around 5 hours late last night and as such had to night stop in Gibraltar. We slowly ascend the stairs of this British Airways Airbus A320neo aircraft.
Exit row, the floor area must be completely clear for takeoff. Once you have baggage is safely stowed, please make yourselves comfortable and keep the aisle clear for all our remaining customers to join us on board.
A look around the seats where I had nobody sitting next to me, and another big bonus of British Airways and the newer planes is they have USB charging available on board in every seat. And so, here we go. It was time to push back.
Cabin crew doors to automatic and cross-check.
Now, as you should know by now from my other videos, I love a good onboard announcement. For the next section, if anything is mispronounced by the crew, please don't blame me in the comments, as someone did in a video before, which really made me laugh. You can criticise me, however, all you like.
Whilst the cabin and crew take their positions for the safety briefing, please can we remind you, smoking, including e-cigarette, vaping and the use of other smoking devices is not permitted at any time whilst on board. This includes the toilets which are fitted with smoke detectors. Personal devices should have the flight safe mode feature enabled now. Handheld devices, remember it may be behind you. Opening the doors automatically inflates the evacuation slides. High-heeled shoes must be taken off as they may tear the slide. Please now check that your seat is upright or in the take-off position with the armrest down, your table folded away, personal devices unplugged and window blinds are open ready for takeoff. Please study the safety card in your seat area before we depart. This contains important safety information including details on your brace position. If you have any questions, please ask your cabin crew.
Now we're off. You're probably wondering what's happened to the original flight last night, as I didn't go into this a moment ago. But as flights can get very boring, here's a good time to explain it. Basically, the original aircraft was due to leave London Heathrow and suffered from a technical failure. Originally it was delayed around 1 to 2 hours, but they decided it was not repairable, so to move everybody to a different plane. The next plane that they sent then made a U-turn and came back halfway down the route to Gibraltar. So finally it was take 3 and the aircraft we are on now was sent around 5 or 6 hours late, meaning that the crew were out of hours, so had to night stop here. British Airways admitted at the gate that it was a technical problem. However, though, this doesn't really matter because the crew at the airport are not BA staff. It's whether the airline admits it directly as to whether you will get any compensation. Unless you have anything in writing from anyone at the airport, do not take what they say as gospel and merely as a pinch of salt. I will return to the story about the compensation once we are airborne. Delays aside, it's time to take off and enjoy the start of this beautiful flight. And the climb out of Gibraltar is probably the best bit. We backtrack along the runway a little here and then do a U-turn into position, presumably to get full length, for maximum speed on takeoff out of this short runway. There are so many ships visible out on the strait. And so, here we go. blazing down and trying to peer through behind the rock of Gibraltar. We lift off, passing once again the Sunborn luxury yacht boat. Gibraltar's main harbour is below, with a Costa cruise ship moored in there. The port of Algeciras is directly ahead, where I was yesterday on my voyage from Europe to Africa, which you can see the continent itself on the horizon being hugged by clouds. And below is the Bay of Gibraltar.
A very good afternoon to all. My name is Katie O'Neill, the in-flight lead, and it is my pleasure to finally welcome you all on board today. A special welcome to those of you returning from our Executive Club and those of you joining from our One World Alliance partners. May I please remind you to keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated, and it must remain securely fastened whenever the seatbelt sign is on. If opening overhead lockers, please do take care as items may have moved and could fall out and cause injury. As a reminder, smoking, including e-cigarettes, vaping, and the use of other smoking devices is not permitted any time whilst on board, and this does include the toilets, which are fitted with smoke detectors. We are pleased to have launched our free onboard Wi-Fi messaging service for all Executive Club members to enjoy on board today's flight. Shortly you can connect to BA Wi-Fi or join our Executive Club by simply visiting shop.ba.com, where you can access free messaging and discover more offers. In-seat power is also available within your seat area and will be ready for use once the seatbelt signs are switched off. All phones should be placed to silent to avoid disturbing other customers, and video and phone calls are also not permitted at any time during the flight. As you'll have already been made aware, there is no catering on today's flight due to the aircraft changes. However, we will be offering water and a complimentary snack. Sorry again for all of the inconvenience, and thank you for your patience and understanding in this. We invite you now to make yourself at home and enjoy our hospitality, and if there's anything we can do to make your journey more comfortable, please do just let us know. Thank you.
Now with the announcements out of the way, wow, what a stunning view of the rock as we bank around and head north to England. Now we are airborne and the fasten seatbelt signs are about to go off, I can explain more to you how I claimed back the £400 compensation for the flight. However, please take what I say as a rough guide only. I am not a legal expert. In terms of legal rights, as a passenger, if your flight is delayed or cancelled, you could be entitled to compensation under EU Regulation 261/2004. This law is to protect you if the airline is at fault for the cancellation, whether it's due to technical issues, staffing problems, or other reasons within their control. And technical issues, like today, do fall under this category. So if your flight was cancelled for that reason, you might be entitled to some cash. Now, the amount you're entitled to depends on the distance of the flight, which would be, if the flight is under 1,500 kilometres, you could claim €250. If the flight is between 1,500 and 3,500 kilometres, you could claim up to €400, as is the case today. And if it's over 3,500 kilometres, you could be entitled to up to €600. Also, bear in mind, the airline will not voluntarily offer you this. You must take the action yourself and request the compensation on their website. If the cancellation was due to something like weather, the airline might not owe you anything at all. But if it's a technical issue, like this was, which was under the airline's control, i.e. a broken down plane, you should definitely pursue the claim. The best part, you don't need to go through the complicated legal process. The claim can usually be filed directly through the airline's website, like I did with BA here. Once I knew I was eligible for the compensation, the next step was to actually start the claim process. Thankfully, it wasn't complicated at all, but there were a few things I needed to gather. I went straight to British Airways' website to start the claim, and they've made it pretty easy. There's a dedicated page for flight compensation claims, so I filled out the online form directly there. I would recommend using this route since it's the quickest and most straightforward. All I needed to fill in was my flight details and booking reference number. I didn't need anything else, such as boarding passes or cancellation notices. In terms of claiming back the hotel cost, all I needed to do was attach the Expedia invoice to the online form. Also be sure to claim back the cost of your breakfast at the hotel. The filling in of the forms was very easy and straightforward. One note, however, on the hotel is there is a maximum they will pay out per night. I'm not sure what it is, but it's something like £200 to £300, as I heard one customer in the terminal saying he was going to book a £750 per night hotel. Well, good luck for him claiming that back, because I don't think he will get it. I didn't have to wait at all long for a response from British Airways. In fact, they got back to me in about 4 days, which was way faster than I expected. They confirmed they received my claim, and they didn't request anything else. It was then a case of sitting back and hoping and praying the compensation would come in. We are now cruising and flying over Spain's central regions and approaching the Madrid area. And there it is, the huge city of Madrid below, with its Barajas airport just coming into view now to the right. The airport is one of the largest and most sprawling in Europe, and it was redeveloped extensively in the earlier 2000s. The original old terminal is visible on the left of the airport here, with the newer 2 terminals to the north and centre of the airport. The view from this flight really illustrates it well below, with the city of Madrid just above it. Madrid itself is also a surprisingly hot and mountainous region for a European capital city. And as we fly a little further along, here it is again from a slightly different angle. We then continue upwards through Spain's central region to Spain's north coast, passing in between here at the Valmea Reservoir. This is around 40 kilometres north of Madrid and was built in 1976 and offers outdoor adventures and water sports activities. I don't recall seeing any YouTubers go here, maybe it's a video for you. We then cruise over the Bay of Biscay and do not emerge again until the north coast of France from the cloud. And here, just poking through, is the island of Jersey, domain of Condor ferries, well, until March. Once Jersey is passed, we then see the other main Channel island of Guernsey, where I was just last month on my video aboard Condor Liberation. And there is a tiny little smidgen of the north coast of France, somewhere near the Cherbourg area. Just as the sun is beginning to set, Blighty comes back into sight, the mainland UK, and you can see Paul Harbour. It's a little like an aerial tour, really, of one of my previous videos. The stunning large white chalk cliffs of the southern coast of the Isle of Wight then come into view. The plane cruises over the entire island, and you can also clearly see here the Lymington to Yarmouth ferry. The beautiful stretch of water of the Solent, where Henry VIII's flagship, the Mary Rose, was found. You can see here the estuary of the Beaulieu River, heading up toward the famous Beaulieu Motor Museum, with the New Forest behind it. Continuing to pass the River Itchen and Southampton with its vast docks. This really affords an excellent view over the whole river and shoreline. It's just a shame we're slightly too north of Portsmouth to be able to see it. We edge closer to London, crossing the home counties of Hampshire and Surrey, and then into the London suburbs. See if you could spot your area, house or town, and leave me a message in the comments below, if you can. Passing by the large Surrey town of Woking. This is a big commuter belt area, and we are following the South Western Railway main line up towards London Waterloo. Below is Brooklands, former racetrack, and also now home to the Air Museum and home of a preserved Concorde. We then turn to our approach sequence, passing the many reservoirs near London's Heathrow Airport and doing a loop around the city. Inner London approaches with the city and Hyde Park towards the horizon, clearly visible. So is another aircraft landing, can you spot it? And the Shard, of course. The large Crystal Palace transmission tower sticks up, with Selhurst train depot directly below. The familiar site of the Isle of Dogs and Canary Wharf. We make our final turn inbound for Heathrow's runway 27 left. The sun, however, is now really beginning to get in the way. Entering the final approach, we pass Twickenham's famous stadium. Just passing Terminal 4, we touch down on Heathrow's runway 27 left. And as we pass the British Airways cargo centre, that sun is certainly in an annoying position.
A very warm welcome to London Heathrow Terminal 3. For the local time here is 22 minutes past 3 in the afternoon. Please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until the fasten seatbelt signs have been switched off. When it is safe to do so, please take care when opening overhead lockers as items may have moved and could fall out and cause injury. You may now make and receive calls as well as use all data services on your handheld.
Now it's just time to taxi into the terminal, and we would get a good view of some various British Airways aircraft parked there. Here at Terminal 5, we're almost treated to one each of the British Airways fleet, starting up with this Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. behind it is the Airbus A350. And the Boeing 777-200 series. Then the longer stretched Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner. And finally, the granddaddy of them all, the Airbus A380-800, and not just one, but two of them, with another facing its rear to us, right here.
Cabin crew, doors to manual and cross-check please.
Arriving aside the fuel farm, one slight oddity here is we are berthing at a remote stand of Terminal 5, whereas this flight actually is scheduled to arrive at Terminal 3. So of course, we would have to take the obligatory bus there, just like all of my flights. It wasn't too long until we deplaned, and then we were taken on the bus for a little geeky bonus tour of Heathrow Airport from 5 to 3. Passing firstly the airport's control tower and then fire station. And an up close and personal view of this British Airways 777-200 aircraft. This small British Airways A319 has one of its engines open. BA's main rival, Virgin Atlantic, with one of its Airbus A350s. And, yes, another one here. This one is named Mamma Mia. After passing through an underground section, the pièce de résistance of them all, the Emirates A380. With the Turkish Airlines Airbus A321 in the background, just for luck. And that concludes our whirlwind tour of the airport. After a very long walk, I was back at the Heathrow Airport Elizabeth Line station. Make sure, as it says here, you get on the correct train. You don't want to be on that Heathrow Express and have to remortgage your house to buy a train ticket. The Elizabeth Line, however, is only £13.30 on contactless. The trains are every 15 minutes from Terminals 2 and 3, but only once every half an hour from Terminal 5, so you might need to change trains there. Being London's newest Crossrail line, the trains inside are cool, air-conditioned and comfortable. The final costings for this trip are as follows. The BA flight, £36, bus fares in Gibraltar, £5, the hotel, £59, and well, the compensation for British Airways, it came in just 1 week later at £409. That's an epic profit for a trip. Hi everyone, so that's my epic journey to Africa and Gibraltar over. If you've not watched the first 2 videos in the series, please go back and check them out now. Next year I've got some fantastic land and sea only journeys with no flying involved and some epic stints across Europe, so stay tuned. Don't miss out on these and more, so please like and subscribe and I'll see you on the next one. And with that, as always, thank you for watching Carl's Travel Channel.